In every generation, a rare few rise, not just to lead companies, but to shape entire industries. Not just teams, but movements. Welcome to the League of Extraordinary Leaders East Africa, where vision meets courage and strategy sparks transformation. Hosted by Uganda's leading business journalist, Muhereza Kyamutetera. This is your front row seat to the minds reshaping the future of African business.
Hello everyone. I don't want to say good morning or good evening because I know this is a 24/7 show. So wherever you're watching from, welcome yet again to season 2, episode 1 of our LXL East Africa. And for those of you who do not know, LXL stands for League of Extraordinary Leaders East Africa. Obviously, speaks for itself. And today, I think we are more than blessed to open this season by hosting none other than, I would love to think of you as the head of brand, Destination Uganda, like you know, which is a very big thing, by the way. I don't know how many people understand the kind of responsibility that you carry on your head. Yes. I'm surprised you haven't developed a bald head yet. Yeah, so welcome to the show, Juliana Kagwa, the CEO of Uganda Tourism Board. You know, the guys who do marketing of Destination Uganda. And I also know that you're also in charge of promoting, investment. Mm-hmm. And there's the other regulation part that most people forget about, which is also very critical. But before we dive into the main business of the day, we like to start with the easier part. How are you feeling?
Well, I'm feeling great. Thank you, Cham. Thank you, League of Extraordinary Leaders, for having me here today. Mm-hmm. What an honor to be, amongst the LXL. So really happy to be opening the season to discuss all things Explore Uganda, Destination Uganda. We're having a bit of a good season in terms of all the magnificent opportunities that have been presented, that we've taken advantage of. Most recently, Poate. I think you named me CEO of the week on the back of that. So thank you. I am distinctly honored and humbled. However, you know, we're also having a bit of a tough time with this Ebola crisis. So I'm in two places. I'm feeling very positive about the work we've managed to do in 1 year's time since I took over. I see the writing is on the wall. The only place or the only way for us is up. However, I'm also cognizant of what we're going through right now, especially our private sector partners who are feeling the pinch right now because of all the cancellations and all of that. But I'm also encouraged by the fact that this is not the first time we've done this before. It's not our first day at the rodeo. We beat COVID. We've recovered beyond COVID numbers. And so I remain optimistic. I'm a glass half full person. Yes.
Okay, interesting. And I mean, I must say Explore Uganda is one thing that I consider very close to my heart, because as part of the team that launched, that brand, I know what we went through with the private sector. We were, of course, blessed with the president when he came in to launch it. And of course, I think that was the last time the president officially appeared at a tourism event. So seeing him appear again at the last ended party is, a mark of confidence. Do you feel like you're feeling challenged by all this confidence that people are putting in you? Absolutely. And of course, on the back of that confidence, then we also expect the numbers to start coming through.
Expectations.
How do you carry that with you to your bed every day?
Well, listen, it's very simple. And what I keep saying to myself, and you'll allow me to use a bit of vernacular.
Yes.
I'm going by the terminology. I think the Budonians use it. Dachali mabaga.
Okay.
And that simply means it's we're at the very beginning of where we should be. Tourism in this country is at infancy. So the endorsement by His Excellency by coming to the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo 2026 is very timely. It's a stamp of confidence, yes, but also of the work to do, the work to be done. And His Excellency said it very well. You know, we're in Chisanja, no sleep. Is it no sleep? Team no sleep? Yeah. He just missed that word, team no sleep. Yes, I think he has come now to team no sleep. And I think for me, it's a challenge. So it keeps me up at night, obviously. I'm excited and very, of course, very encouraged by how much attention tourism is now getting because of the work we're doing. But attention is not enough. We need people to understand, you know. First, of course, you get in marketing, they call it consideration. And I feel like that's where we are now. Because of the impact of the last few maybe activities or interventions we've made, we have people's attention. So they're considering us domestically and internationally. I dare say even decision makers are considering us. And that's the most important thing. People in parliament are considering us. So an economy that used to be hedged on agriculture alone and minerals being seen as maybe the future of Uganda, people are considering tourism. But once you have that consideration, what you do with it is now, you know, what defines, you know, that separates the men from the boys. So we now have to move to conversion. How do we make them put money where their mouth is?
Okay, so I mean, and I must say that I've been chasing for this interview for the last 1 year. I think right from the time you went, you entered office, which is just about, I think it's just around June 18th. So almost a whole year I've been chasing for this interview. So you guys, you know what we go through to do such things. So when you see us here, you know,
but okay.
But of course I know we also had that back and forth, and you kept on assuring me and telling me that once the time is right, we will have this conversation. So for the 1 year almost, also maybe if you could give us a quick recap of what have you been up to in this 1 year?
Hey, what have I not been up to? And Cham, you know, I think you were one of the first people who reached out to me, not just as a journalist, but as a friend, because I've known you for many years. And also as an investor in tourism. I don't know if you have money in the sector, but I know your heart is there.
I have some bit of money. Actually, yes. I used to do a lot of promotion for Uganda.
Yes.
And then Amos Wekesa kept on convincing me that the day you taste $1 of this industry, you won't leave it alone. And he looked at me, he was a bit like skeptical.
Yes.
He opened his 2 computers and showed me his accounts in Stanbic. And you know, I still remember the figures I saw there in dollars and shillings. And from that day, I walked out of his office. So I am invested, and that's why I am very expectant from you.
From me.
So that's why I'm keen to hear what you've been up to.
I've been seeing your content, and I said this is not just some random commentary by line standard. No, I think you have a vested interest in tourism, and that's the reason why I was, of course, you know, hesitant to just come in off the street, start talking tourism as if I've been there for years, because I know you have the knowledge and the intellectual, you know, background. So I said to myself, for me to start doing these kind of engagements, especially with senior journalists like yourself, I need to have the information. I need to have deep dived or delved into all things tourism, right from the public sector into the private sector, into the international space. I need to be coming from a point of knowledge. Now, of course, do I have all the knowledge I require in a year's time? No. But I am feeling a bit more confident on what I see as the low-hanging fruits, the opportunities, and we've framed also as a team the challenges. So what have I been up to this last year? Was first of all learning, a lot of learning. This has been, I think, the most humbling learning experience I've ever had in my life. And I'm talking about even as far as kindergarten. This is not when, I'm not talking about work. I'm talking about even when we used to get chiboko. This one has been more humbling than that. And I'll tell you why. It's because the industry is full of so many diverse people, investors, the tour operators, the tourists themselves. Some are high maintenance, some are low maintenance, some are, you know, you're dealing with a cross section of players that, you know, that I've never had to before. The value chain is so rich and so diverse that it requires for somebody to be humble. That's the only word I can think of. So this last year I've been taking lessons in humility. I've also taken time to study and embed or get immersed in the strategy, of which I have to say, if there's anything that Uganda government does well, it is put down strategy. Nobody does it like us. And I've compared our strategy to a couple of other destinations in the world, and I'm telling you, this is top tier. Even in my 25 years of working in FMCG, as you know, I have a background in fast-moving consumer goods, in private sector. I've built brands, I've worked on brands, international, globally acclaimed brands. And I'm telling you, our strategy stands up against these. Where I saw an immediate challenge, and where I said, this is where I'm going to throw myself and my back and my team into, is execution. And so that's what we've been spending a lot of time on. And in order to unlock that execution, there's a couple of things that we had to do as a team. So we had to come together, come apart, come together again, until we've decided, we've honed in on what I think is the execution path that will deliver the strategy. Yes.
Is that classified intelligence? Like, you can give us some bit of bits and pieces of that? Like, so it's the broader picture.
Let me give it to you. No, it's not classified. It's even in the public arena, and those who like to read and interrogate can do that. But the way we've broken it down and we've simplified it so that even the gate man knows what we're doing. First things first, we're a marketing agency. And if we profess to be a marketing agency, then what we agreed as a team is we can't have people who are a finance manager, legal manager, corporate manager, PR manager. We are all marketing. So now we've adopted the stance that everybody starts with the word marketing in their title. So I am the marketing CEO of Uganda Tourism Board. There's a marketing finance manager, marketing legal manager, marketing PR manager, marketing admin manager. So that whoever is at Uganda Tourism Board right now knows that our mandate is to commercially make viable the commercial proposition of Uganda. That was the first thing, change of mindset. When we say brand Explore Uganda, which brand you guys worked on, and thank you for that, because that brand is so rich and gives us so much to go on. It's unexplored, literally. And so the work you left for us to do is to explore it in itself.
We set you up.
You set me up, but in a good way.
Yes.
And so building brand Uganda was the next thing we discussed. Destination Uganda. How do we start to unpack? And it's really four-pronged, the way we're going to do it. It's nothing complex. We're starting with Explore Uganda. What does it mean? What to a normal person? What does it mean to a traveler? Is it a lot of English? Is it less English? How do I start to resonate with it? So that is the core work of us at UTB. The marketing of Destination Uganda comes from unpacking. Explore Uganda, what does it mean? The second piece of work we committed to do was build a brand called also UTB. And when we came into the space, UTB, underfunded, overlooked many times, undercalled, underrated, you know, when they call the big boys to the table, where are you? That kind of thing. So, and it's not coming from anywhere apart from the fact that people don't understand what we do. And so the challenge again that I gave to the team at the time, and they probably looked at me and said, you're coming from those UBL, loud brands, what they only know how to swing from chandeliers, camera, lights, action. I said, you have to build trust and confidence in our partners. Private sector is not going to trust you with anything, especially their money, because these are people putting money on the table. If you do not resonate with them, if you do not start to speak their language, understand where they're coming from. So we went about the business of creating what I call a team charter for brand UTB. And the first thing we decided to do is become more visible. And I think you've seen us in those spaces. And what we're driving for is vibe, first of all. So if we're a marketing agency, how can you be a marketing agency without vibe, zero vibe? So the first thing as brand UTB, we will give off or emanate vibe, transparency, and fast communication.
Okay.
I came into an environment, as you know, most public offices, there's no real urgency. And so sometimes for our private sector partners, and this was feedback I got in my first week of being there, things come there and they take forever. Can you just tell us, is it yes or no?
Yeah.
And I went through this even in private sector, so it's not just a thing of public sector. My team at UBL will tell you, I made people sign a policy. It's called the 24-hour policy. Give me an answer in 24 hours, even if it is no. I appreciate that more than being made to dilly-dally and hope against hope. It's another day, it's another week. Every time the sun rises, will UTB say yes or no? So I said, guys, what if you were dealing with a life or death situation? What if you were working in a pharmaceutical company where things were actually life dependent on it? Can you start to adopt that mindset? And so we started to hasten, increase the speed with which we respond to our partners. Now that is brand UTB vibe. The second thing was becoming more externally focused, customer centric, customer driven. And so, you know, things like, for example, you said you pursued me for a year, but you need, you need to correct that. It's not that I was not communicating back to you.
Yeah.
It's because I was telling you, let me prepare myself. Let me get the right understanding, level of understanding, so that I can speak authoritatively and so that people resonate with what I'm saying. So that second piece of work of becoming customer centric, externally focused, where you put the customer first. And who's the customer? There's the tourist, yes, that's the ultimate customer. But remember, as UTB, we're not dealing directly with the tourist. We must not cheat ourselves. Very rarely will I receive a tourist directly, unless of course it is like Barack Obama. Trust, I'll be at the airport.
Oh, this lady of Pum Pum.
And you know, Spice.
Spice that. It was Spice that.
It was Spice.
So Spice
but again,
Jamaican.
through a private sector
Yeah.
operator, because there's no way the Uganda Tourism Board can go directly.
Of course.
Because we're not a commercial facility. You understand? We don't take money from the tourists.
Yeah.
So my customer is that person in the value chain who connects me to the tourist. And so private sector then starts to play a very different role in your head when you understand how critical they are. They're essentially your commercial arm. If I'm to use the FMCG terminology, they are essentially the distributors. They're the guys who connect you the last mile. Now, how can you do business in the absence of that connector? And so we immediately started to revise the way we are dealing with the private sector, the speed with which we are responding to the private sector, the frameworks and facilitation we are setting up for the private sector. Private sector then becomes what? Number one. And that's our customer. The third thing, and this one I took from all the training, we're using a term called OTIFNI as brand UTB. On time, in full, no error. It's very ambitious. It's easier written than done. But when you think about it, even if you accomplish about 70% of that, if you can at least deliver on time and in full, one or two errors, it's all right. If you're going to be late, then can you be sure that when you do deliver it, there are no errors? So that's the challenge now we've set for ourselves, and it's creating a different kind of atmosphere, I'll tell you for free, at Brand UTB. The vibrancy, you've seen it now, where we're in all spaces, whether it's in the private sector or public sector. Recently, we had the distinct honor of branding the swearing-in ceremony. You know, they trusted us with that responsibility. So UTB took over the Kololo airstrip. We have since been entrusted with hosting the Future Hospitality Summit in 2027 alongside AFCON. And AFCON I'll talk about separately. But the Future Hospitality Summit is the biggest convention in Africa where investors in hospitality come together. This thing has only been hosted in Cape Town, Nairobi, and other cities, capital cities in Africa, where the Africa Hospitality Investment Forum believe there's an opportunity for growing tourism. So we have that honor and distinct pleasure of hosting that summit. So for me, it means that Brand UTB is starting to make a mark. People are starting to trust respect, and listen to, pay attention to brand UTB. The third thing, and I'll speak very quickly to it, public-private partnership. That's the other thing I've been spending time on in terms of our four-pronged approach and creating partnerships that take us further. Time-old saying, a saying as old as I don't know how long, because I've been hearing it since I was a baby. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go farther, go with
other people.
Go with the community. And so we've been spending time identifying partners and honing in on those relationships. And I think the way it's been before, it's always been, we're looking for partnership, and sometimes it's not even, it's not an equally yoked relationship, especially with the donors, like the donor groups, international donors. We're always, kind of handout type of thing. We're changing that narrative. We want to be in relationships and partnerships where we're equally yoked, where UTB, brand Uganda, Explore Uganda is bringing as much to the equation as whichever partner there is. Because that's the only way you really get the best out of your partner. And so just from the top of my head, recently we're partnering with FUFA. You saw the work we did with FUFA in AFCON 2025 in Morocco.
Yes.
That was pure partnership and relationship. We're onboarding partners like the Ghetto Kids, who are a big brand in themselves. And you'll see them recently, I think they signed on to be, to perform with Shakira. And lucky for us, by the way, it's a happy accident. We didn't know. We didn't know about the World Cup. So it's do you see what happens with it, with a great partnership? So we approached Ghetto Kids, I think earlier this year, to say we're looking at 6 or 7 high value endorsements and partnerships to take us forward to the next level. And we've identified the Ghetto Kids as one of those entities. And so and it takes a while to negotiate. It's not just sign here, then I start telling you, now wear my t-shirt, now put on my hat. No, it's what's in it for the Ghetto Kids and what's in it for us, which is why it takes long to sign on these kind of, MOUs. And as we are still in that relationship development, imagine what happens. They're invited to the World Cup. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you see where I'm going with this?
Ontegera.
So, we're in conversations with the film and production industry of Uganda. I think it's called the Producers Guild. And nobody tells stories like those guys. So there's no reason why brand UTB should be trying to create content internally to be as creative as Juliana, is storytelling, as if that is my forte. Yet we have people who are professionals, the Matthew Nabui Souls, the Nana Kagas. Those are people who've been to Hollywood. They've been on the red carpet at the Grammys and things like that. Why aren't we using this talent, this homegrown talent, to build Explore Uganda? So those are the kind of partnerships and engagements we're going into in terms of public-private partnership. In that space of collaboration, because I'm all about collaboration, there is also the MDAs. So even interagency collaboration within the government for me is very important. And so there are agencies since I started that thought they were far removed from tourism. People who have approached and they're like, okay, thanks so much, but how am I connected to it? I'll tell you for free, the guys of agriculture. We've only started truly harnessing that collaboration now that they've seen the connection with the coffee. With the food, the fact that we're a food basin, and that food in itself is part and parcel of our culture. Our food actually puts us way ahead of any other African destination. When you talk about the uniqueness of Uganda, it's part and parcel due to that. So how can we go ahead without the Ministry of Agriculture as an agency? How would we be able to do that? So those are the conversations we're now having. MOFA, of course, now we are joined at the hip with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. You've seen the work we're doing through economic, commercial diplomacy. And again, it's not just sign a paper and then let's see. These people are innovating, Cham. They are innovating. You saw the buses in Italy.
I saw the buses.
That's an innovation of our ambassador there. You understand? So, but without having those kind of open, transparent partnerships where you're equally yoked, people can't think creatively. People are not free to express themselves. So I'm feeling like with these new collaborations and partnerships, we're going to possibly take tourism to the next level.
Okay.
The fourth one, I know I'm not letting you talk. That was the last one. The last one. And I hope these guys will edit if I go too far. So the last.
No. I mean, it's your show. You have to tell us everything.
I think you waited me for a year, so now you're really going to suffer with me. The last thing that immediately I got into office that I saw as a challenge and an opportunity at the same time is how far behind we are on digitization. Yeah. And immediately I came to the team, and one of our first town halls, they are my witnesses, all 60 of the people that work at UTB. And I said, guys, we have to create a digital tsunami. There's just no two ways about it. We've got to get on everything and anything right now. There's no way you're going to be marketing Destination Uganda on 2 digital platforms. Yeah. Are you a secret? How can you be told we are the best known secret? So who are you talking to? You've got to be on TikTok, on Insta, on Snapchat, on, where are people communicating in real time? That's where we've got to be. And also, what content are we putting out there? Maybe the reason we don't want to be there is because we don't trust our content, right? So then we have a challenge of creating relevant content. But again, is it us? Why don't we create a partnership with the people who know how? We're in this building of NRG. I've been here how many times? They'll tell you, I think I launched their Play It Loud. It's not because I want to be with the Gen Zs. Okay, I'm also a Gen Z somehow. So I identify.
I don't know what part of this Gen Z, but
I identify as a Gen Z. People in this world are now identifying as anything. So I identify as a Gen Z.
I agree.
You cannot take it from me. And so why aren't we asking these people? Why aren't we partnering, collaborating with them to create user content that is disruptive, that will, cause people to ask questions, that people will pay attention to? So immediately I said, guys, this digital tsunami must happen. We cannot be a marketing agency that is shy. Let's get out there. Let's take the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because once you're in the social space, once you're in the digital space, you're getting feedback. Whether or not you like it, you're gonna get it. And so what I feel like we've been doing this year is getting more confident, emboldened to be in these spaces. And you've seen our digital space now. It's much more active than where it was before. We're on platforms that we weren't before. And we're partnering with people who know how to do it. So, the next medias of this world, the NRGs of this world.
The CEO East Africa magazines next.
Of this world. We are humble. We are not going to pretend that we know everything. But I think that's where it all begins. So that's kind of what we've been doing for the last, it's just those 4 areas. I know I've talked a lot.
No, it's okay. It's probably because I know when you spoke of partnerships, I think I'm interested because there's a property we're working on called CEOs in the Wild, where we believe that if you drag more and more of these guys out there, I mean, they have their friends all over the world. They command audiences. So it's something we're cooking, and we should be coming to you very soon. And another thing I love.
Don't cook so long.
No.
When can we do it?
We are seasoning, but like after a year we'll go and do the actual
do the work.
Yeah, but one smart thing that I liked, and I think when you talked about use of film, the reason I believe why most of us are dying to go to America, okay, not myself, many other guys out there, is they have cleverly influenced the way we think about their country through film. It happens every day in a subtle way.
Not every day. These people started from way back those days, Vietnam, Chuck Norris.
We're
all brainwashed and we don't know it.
How one American could kill like 1,000 Vietnamese.
One guy, Chuck Norris. So
very, very interesting. There's something you said about attention not being enough, but of course it's a good beginning. Now we have a new parliament. We have, I think, the cabinet is being sworn in today or something like that.
Yes.
If you had some 5 minutes to address them, what would you be asking of them in terms of turning that attention into real support that you need? Because I know that having looked at the numbers, the targets they've given you, it means you need to be growing at about 25-30% per year.
Yes.
And I'm not sure your resources are growing by as much.
Yeah.
So if you were to, and of course I know that it's not only the issue to do with resources, but there's quite more. If you were to face these guys for like 5 minutes, what would you be telling them that they need to do to make sure we accelerate fast enough to get to the 4-5 billion?
I would say access. I would say members on this floor, legislators and decision makers, access. We need access, and access comes in so many forms. We need access to finance, not just for marketing but for investment. So we need to make it easier for private sector to invest in this agenda called tourism. Whether it's international or domestic investors, they need access. We need access to our parks. We need access to our heritage sites. We need access to product development. We need to create the vehicles so that people can reach this agenda. It's as simple as that. Access is such a big word, you know. So when I say access, people immediately think roads, but that's not the only thing we need. We need air connectivity, and that comes from access to finance, so that investment is easy. Access to investors. How are we reaching these investors? Which is why it's so important for us to host those investment summits where you get big names like Radisson, you know, Marriott, who's already here, JW Marriott coming into Uganda, you know, are they called Six Senses coming into Uganda? Now we have the one, is it the one, it's one and only, let me not say the wrong one, in the Murchison, they're a Dubai-based chain. What's the one in Rwanda? Remind me.
Rwanda, I think, is it Radisson?
Is it?
Yeah, the ones of the conference center.
I need to get it. I'll get it. I'll get it during the break. They're here already, but that will encourage people. We need access to training, hospitality, upskilling. All of that comes with a certain element of financing. So whether they give that money to me or give it directly to the third party, for me, I'm not precious on that. But create the access. You know, give us access to world-class training and hospitality facilitation. Bring people from Thailand here. Let us house them here for a year while they upskill our private sector, so that we are matching services like for like, right? So let's not just do the business of shouting brand Uganda, explore Uganda, and by all means give us money to market. But let's not create demand that we cannot meet the supply of. Let the two things work hand in hand, in tandem, which is why the investment right now is really far from where it should be. It's nowhere near where it should be.
I find that a paradox. You say investment is, I mean, I agree with you in certain areas, but then we're talking of our occupancy levels being below 50%. I would imagine that there's still enough room, or is it that maybe we're over-investing in certain areas and under-investing in others? Where is the issue there?
Our occupancy levels are not below 50%. Where are you getting these numbers? They're actually much better than before Ebola hit.
Yeah, actually, it's something that we also need to talk about, because that for the little time I've been, like following the industry, you tend to get different numbers. This one tells you this.
So we need to streamline.
Then another person tells you that some guys are deliberately underreporting their numbers because they don't want your to be interested in them. And again, if you don't have the right data, we cannot be able to influence basically to get the right resources that where they are needed. And maybe just another one related to that. Okay, and I know you come from the private sector, and whenever they would tell you they need $5 billion in sales, I don't know if we would ever sell that much beer in Uganda. But for whatever number they would give you, there would be a commensurate number working backwards in terms of this is where we need to invest here in production. And I've always argued that also one of the reasons that our growth seems to be unbalanced is that we don't do end-to-end execution. Sometimes you over-invest in the airline and don't invest, you over-invest in the planes, for example, and don't invest in creating the reason for people to fly to Uganda. You overinvest in this area and don't invest in the other. So have you guys worked out what kind of numbers we should be looking at for us to be able to get to the 5 billion?
Yes, we've done some modeling, and to your point, that didn't really exist. So we had the overarching strategy, and the numbers, a few broad numbers that were, you know, shared by the National Planning Authority that feed into the master plan, the 2040 vision, you know, the one that speaks to the $500 billion economy. So we've worked backwards, and we kind of know now, we've interrogated each section of the value chain and what needs to happen, or what it needs to produce in order to get to that number. So we've created the waterfall charts that speak to how do we get to the number. Now we also have to interrogate what is the investment required at each point. Because it's one thing to say, fine, tour operators, if we increase the number of tour operators from about 400 in Uganda to, you know, double that amount, and we hit 1,000 tour operators, they will give us this additional or exponential number of tourist arrivals. But what are we doing in order to upskill the tour operators, to enable them to create a business that's end to end? You know, that they're online, they've got a website that's qualified, that's certified. So all that math has to be done, to be fair, and it's a work in progress. I don't think it's one silver bullet that you fire that fixes everything, because we're all learning. But I 1000% agree that that the practice has been to probably overinvest on one end, and you know, right now we're getting a lot of attention within the marketing side of things, but, and I'll tell you with confidence, with the kind of marketing we're doing, with the kind of investment that we're doing, with the kind of focus that we're now driving, we are going to get the numbers. We are about to hit that tipping point. In marketing, it's called a tipping point, where now you don't look back. And so we need to be ready to absorb those numbers. And where my confidence comes from, I mean, I've seen other destinations that have gone through it. If I compare us to Barbados, Fiji, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Peru, and I'm talking the ones that have a similar biodiversity to ours, you know, a similar climate, you know, that are tropical, that are equatorial, so they can boast of a wide range of species like ourselves. But all of these economies, what they have in common is they were all agro-based. They were all originally agro-based economies, so agriculture used to drive everything. Seychelles, for example, and I think it was sugarcane that they were growing. Barbados, I think it was bananas, I stand to be corrected. You know, a couple of those locations, it was coffee. And that was bringing in excess of 30% of their GDP. Right now, those locations, they're ranging between 17% to 38% of GDP is coming from tourism. So that's an entire flip.
7?
We're about 6% now of GDP. We're planning to be 10% of GDP by 2040, but personally, I believe we can hit that number earlier. From what I've seen, and the blueprint has been written for us. So we're not going to do anything too special or outside of what's been done by these countries, but it's possible. The point I'm trying to drive is that it's possible to flip the economies, where the economy gets most of its revenue, to tourism, given the facets and the products that we are offering. And
one of the things I've also seen from my little knowledge of the tourism sector is that this industry of ours is anti-regulation. And I know it's a dicey place to be, to talk about, but and somebody has blamed it on the issue of, you know, there's a lot of Gamba no-goos for the international audience. Gamba no-goos is high profile people who are well connected and sometimes hard to regulate. And I know in the past there's been circumstances whereby, I mean, you're trying to regulate someone who has a direct line to the president. Yourself, you speak to the president maybe once in a quarter. How do you manage that and bring on board everybody to realize that actually the regulation is good for the good of everybody, and once we regulate properly, we have the right standards and our consumer experience is up, everybody stands to benefit?
You know, we've discussed this also severally as a sector, as the ministry. I think regulation starts with sensitization. So a lot of times the regulations come into place and immediately there's enforcement without the required knowledge kind of, dissemination that is required for people to adopt and essentially start to conform. And then, enforcement can follow. So we're trying to approach it that way. We're increasing the number of sensitization trainings and sessions that we have. Actually, in this year's budget, we've put quite a sizable chunk of money behind that. So I'll have my quality assurance team in the field more often than not, driving knowledge and sensitization around the regulations. And with that also comes an understanding of the benefits, so that it's not, well, I have to do this because government of Uganda said it, but what's in it for me? Or do I see the end result being that I get more customers, that I get more reservations, more bookings? Oh, can I now join an online travel agency because I'm meeting these regulations? Oh, so I can qualify for booking.com. I can qualify for Expedia, and we're doing that now. We're actually having booking.com, Expedia carry out their own trainings of what their regulatory framework is, so that people can conform and join that platform, because you're losing business. Because the other way to look at it is, if I don't comply, what am I missing? So what's in it for me? So I think for me that always works. And then once we have a critical mass of customers and tour operators and hoteliers conforming, then we can start to enforce at scale, because then you have no excuse, because you really should have the knowledge, and if you don't have it, your neighbor should have given it to you. But right now, I think there's a limited understanding of what the framework is and what's in it for the value chain.
Okay, I mean, we've been talking so much tourism, and I'm sure some people must be wondering, who is this nice looking lady? So I think it's about time people got to know you, So, like I said, in Uganda, bade kutwala speed. Kasoke tukeneze mko katono. Katutandike, let's start with, I'd gone into Uganda, with my bad Uganda. Okay, let's start with, for those who do not know you, of course, me, I know a lot about you, but I must also, there are also things that I don't know. Yes. So let's start, where did it all start? Who is Juliana?
Juliana is a Ugandan citizen, born and bred, studied here, lived here all my life. I come from a family of 5. Mostly girls, just the one boy. Okay. And my mom was in journalism, so I have mad respect for the profession. She was actually, by the time she passed on, she was the head of the press unit for the vice president at the time. Yes, Specioza Kazibwe. And so again, on top of being a journalist, she was a civil servant. So I don't know, people keep asking me, how did you end up in government? So
government has been in the blood.
It has been there. So I draw my inspiration from a long time ago. So lived here all my life. That's Juliana in a nutshell.
What did you talked about? You went to school, like it's like in the Bible where Jesus was born in chapter 1, and chapter 3 is 33 years old. Like, where did you go to school? Which school, primary, secondary?
I feel like people have this information. Must I repeat it?
Your hobbies out there have to be proud of you. So.
Okay. Kampala Parents School, KPS. So I was in KPS for a while, and then Namagunga for 6 years. So most of my relationships that I have now later in life are from there. Actually, the most recent appointment to UEDCL, ED.
Yeah,
Josen, that's my, like, we've seen each other since our younger teens. So people were saying, hey, Juliana, you've started bringing your people this side. And imagine, no, that was not it. But she got the appointment in her own right. She's one of the best engineers I know. And so then Makerere University, for about 4 years doing food science and technology.
I had a question on that, like how did you end up? Yeah, but we'll get to that. Yeah.
You'll get to that. Maybe just to take a step back so you know how I ended up in FST. I was actually supposed to do medicine.
Okay.
So I did PCB in HSC, in A level. And my mom filled out all my stuff because she wanted a doctor. And all her life, I think she had even almost started calling me Dr. Juliana. And so when I started getting relatively good marks there, she was like, aha, no musawo.
Doctor too.
Oh, musawo alimu family. So, but hand on heart, I think, and I made like a last minute call. I said, I don't know how I'm going to spend the rest of my days in a national referral hospital. Not that I have anything against the profession, but I said, every day somebody sick, now crisis, tropical diseases. I don't even want to name some of the ones, the one we're struggling with now. I said, this is not for me. I felt like I had more of an inclination to the arts, actually. I felt like, so coincidentally, I did physics, chemistry, biology, stroke, fine art. And I got an A in art, by the way. So I used to draw very well. And
now see why you're pushing guys to do more content.
And more content. No, I'm a storyteller.
Yes.
People who went to school with me will tell you I used to tell stories. I used to tell versions of Riviera. Do you remember that show?
Well, I don't yet come to Kampala.
Yeah. So
but I heard about it when I came.
So people would watch Riviera and then they'll be like, no, now let's hear Juliana's version. Because I would add the soup. And, sooner than Daniela, what she really meant was. So, I've been telling.
You're like the VJ Jingo of the time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I used to love telling stories. Yeah. So, we'd watch movies over the holiday and then I would come with that version to boarding school. Yeah. My version to boarding school. So I did my PCB, stroke fine art, changed my choices because my mom had put medicine as the first choice. And the marks come out, the results come out, because me, I was so sure there's no way I'm even going to get the marks. And I got the marks
for
to
medicine.
do medicine. Hey, that was now a problem.
How did you face her?
Thank you very much. Because now she even has a dinner or something there for me to celebrate. Well done, we are now inside medical school.
Yeah.
So she goes to medical school to check the admissions. And of course my name is nowhere because and that time you couldn't change to medicine. It's not like one of those where you can change like maybe from FST to statistical. If medicine was not your first choice, you're not getting in. Even if you got triple A, stroke A, sub math, I don't know what. So this whole time I'm quiet because I don't know how to say, I'm on the other list. So she goes, she investigates and my mom, she was a bit like me, very driven, very, I have to get to the bottom of the ensonga, we have to find out. And so she finds out, well, no, it was not the first choice. It was not even the second, actually, it was nowhere, because I think my first choice was food science, then like pharmacy, or I think even vet was on there. Essentially, I knew I was going to do something at the university, and then probably do something else. So, this lady comes home and she's like, but I'm confused. I see you on a list of food science and yet you should have passed to get this. What happened? We did not talk for the first year of my university. Because then she said, but I don't even know this course. We were only maybe 16 students in food science and technology. It was a very new course. And so she spent the first term of my years at university trying to change the course. Because she was also, as I said, very driven. Said, no, we must not take this lying down. So medicine is not an option, but what else? Quantitative surveying, statistical, I don't know. There were all these courses that had like magnificent, glorious names. Anything but food science, because she's like, I don't know what that is. So I get into FST, only 16 or 19 of us thereabouts. I meet coincidentally some of the best friends I have up to today. And I do my 4 years of food science and technology. And I do really well. I graduate with my honors. And then I move into what I thought was a food science and technology path, which was Uganda Breweries Limited.
Did you enter as a brewer or you entered as...
I entered I entered as a management trainee, which then allowed you to do, to traverse or go through all the functions and end up where you're supposed to be. But I was essentially hired as a microbiologist. So that was my initial calling, which was, you've applied as a management trainee, but you're going to be in the microbiology. I even had the lab coat and everything.
Those guys do what in Posi?
The microbiologists, we test the microbial load of the beer. You make sure that it's, the yeast has gone down to a certain, because you test the beer along the whole production line, and there's some point where the yeast should have gone down.
Do you like go with a straw and drink on the beer?
You wish. You wish.
Because I would go back to school and study that.
When I say testing, I mean TEST, test, not tasting each step of that.
There used to be a joke that there's this guy, Mr. Matembe.
Yes.
Long time, I think he was
the chief tester.
The chief tester. So there used to be, and he comes from Bushenyi.
Yes.
So there used to be a joke that the reason why the beer bottle is not full is that he drinks on every bottle.
By the way, Mr. Matembe is still very, very, very respected because he was one of the original brewers, I think, and chief testers. Yeah. But he used to be in charge of the whole production. So up to now, I think when you're in charge of production at breweries, people are like, oh, so you're the chief tester.
You're the guys who drink
No,
beer.
It's a very scientific process.
I know.
You're pulling samples off every point in the production and testing it in the labs. Right now, the technology is so high end. When I first got into the lab, there was maybe 3 or 4 machines. There's a centrifuge here. But
so how many weeks did you spend in this scientific location?
By now, again, not so long, because in about, I think it was maybe the 3rd or 2nd month, the marketeers at Uganda Breweries,
they're having fun.
Did something. No, I don't say they were having fun, but they did something. They pulled off an event, I think it was called the Sundowner. Those days, the ferry used to go out onto the lake, and I think Belaga used to do it. So the Marion Muyobos at the time, Brendan Baddies, they were in charge of that. And somehow us little interns, graduates, management trainees managed to sneak our way onto the cruise. And when I got onto that cruise, I said, I think I'm in the wrong place. Look at this, like it's the camera, the lights, the action, the energies, the people. There was such a huge cross section of people. There's kings, there's queens, there's paupers, everything is there. And I realized early on in my life that I am highly extroverted. And so for me, I draw my energies from people. And sitting in the lab, I was going to spend a lot of my time, just me and the microbes, just the bacteria and the yeast. And I made a bold move. So I went upstairs because the lab was actually downstairs. So this sounds like those proverbial, the upstairs people. So I went upstairs to the upstairs people and I said, and I think the first time I walked into Marion Miyobo's office, I must have been wearing my lab coat. And she must have thought I was talking about something in the lab. I said, so what do I need to do to join here? To stay here? Because I was still a management trainee, well within my remit to move around. And she said to me, okay, so what do you know about marketing? Can you name the 4 Ps? She started me on those ones. Hey.
And you were...
No, I said, well, it must be. So I just fumbled through. Then she asked me a couple of other, cutting edge questions. How do you go about this? And if you know Marion, which I know you do,
I know.
It was not easy. And she said, well, okay, first things first, you write a Pilsner and Guinness plan, nini. She gives me and I need it, but like Monday. This was probably like a Thursday. And so I spent the whole weekend going through what I know, calling in favors, but you guys, I have to present this thing. Then Monday comes, did she then ask for it?
She had forgotten.
So, I don't know. I mean, fast forward, she gave me an opportunity. So she gave me my first gig in marketing, first fighting chance. I think I did about a year before I got confirmed as an assistant brand manager, and then brand manager, and then really the rest is history. Went on to work even in Nairobi for a bit on some really great brands, you know, internationally, globally acclaimed brands. And I think that's where I started to really get to sink my teeth into all things marketing and commercial. Soon after I transitioned into Heineken for a little bit, I was headhunted by the Heineken team at the time. They were looking for somebody to start the Heineken business here. And yeah, then I got a real taste of general management because I was doing everything as a country manager: logistics, sales, marketing, HR, training,
tax.
Oh my God. I started dealing even with a tax man. So, but every experience I think for me has been kind of a stepping stone to where I am now. Because now I finally went back to Uganda Breweries, because now they headhunted me back. They said, enough of that market share stuff you're doing with Heineken, come back home. And I returned to Uganda Breweries. I did marketing and innovation for about 6 years. I think I was the longest serving marketing director. But I also did key accounts and strategy. And so I did a couple of roles within the Exco that I think for me have served me in this current position that I am now. I also, before I left Uganda Breweries, I did corporate relations. I think we must have engaged. And so I was managing the corporate brand UBL. We did some amazing work while I was there to also just, some of the work that I'm doing right now with UTB, to just distinguish and make, to carve out a space for the brand. Because as UBL, you know, it was a foregone conclusion. UBL is either Bell or UG or whatever it is. But as a standalone, what UBL stands for in the country, and that time we were like the 4th largest taxpayer. And so the brand in itself had some equity that we had not tapped into. So did some of that work. And then I started to really get an appetite for civil service, because in that corporate role, corporate affairs role, I spent a lot of time with government agencies, URA, Ministry of Finance, you know, all things tax, policy, frameworks. We were struggling with illicit alcohol at the time. So UNBS, URSB. So a lot of the agencies that I'm now working very closely with had actually started to make inroads when I was leading the corporate function at Uganda Breweries. And then I took a step back to food science. I don't know if you know that bit.
I know.
So for about 2 years, I was working with a Zimbabwean founded firm, but present in about 17 African countries. So the company called Seedco. And you know, the core business was essentially the commercialization of hybrid seed. And so we were trying to improve food security across Africa. I did that for a bit, again, working a lot with governments in the different countries, a lot with the private sector, a lot with the farmers themselves, grassroots farmers. You know, farming in Africa for the most part is smallholder, small acreage farming. So again, just very, very different from what I was used to with Uganda Breweries and Diageo, and just understanding a different type of customer, a different value chain. I created, I think, some long-lasting partnerships and relationships, some of which I'm still tapping into now. I have a group, fingers crossed, of Seedco coming through, so Zimbabweans, Zambians, South Africans, Kenyans, Tanzanians, because the company is, you know, multinational. They should be coming through this summer for an excursion, about 60 of them. So, of course, because I said so. They were going somewhere, and I said, where are you going besides Uganda? Where are you going?
That's a combination of good alcohol drinking countries. Shall we be safe?
Bambi, Zimbabwe, Zambia, no. So I think for me, it's a really, the journey has essentially somehow carved its way to this, because every step that I can think of has somehow contributed and is still contributing to what I'm doing now. So the connections that I made over the years, the networks, it's all coming to bear fruit now. And I think it's only year one, so I don't even know what's possible. I'm still looking forward. But yeah, so that's the journey in essence. Yeah.
You know, one thing that still sticks in my mind up to now. I must thank you. When I was in my agency, you did quite give us some business that we worked on in the very many agencies. But I remember there's this particular day we had come to pitch. I don't remember what the brand was. Yeah. So I came. I was a general manager at Fireworks, and I had my two people, Doreen and Dorothy. So we presented, made a very nice pitch. Everybody was happy. Of course, you asked the usual questions. Then as a closing question, and I don't know why you asked that question.
I'm worried, what did I say?
So all the time I presented, you asked the questions, I answered. Then there are these two people that never said a single thing. So you asked a question, like, so, but who are these guys? Why did they come to this meeting? Like, they never said anything, like, you know.
That sounds like me.
Yeah, so, and I didn't know for how long you had been thinking about that question. But besides that, how has been the transition from the public sector to, rather from the private sector to the public sector? And I'm sure you must have had your own fears and expectations. 1 year in, how is the feeling like, you know, knowing what you know now and what you thought then? How has been the experience, and probably are there some lessons you picked that anyone out there who's about to make the jump could benefit from?
First of all, and I think I said it in terms of the journey, I'd already started working a little bit with government agencies and ministries. So I had a bit of understanding of how it all comes together. I mean, I can't pretend that I knew the amount of red tape or the amount of systems and non-systems, and that has been a bit overwhelming. But in terms of what the agenda is, or what people's ethos is, or what the goal is, I kind of gotten a bit of understanding of that. And then the other thing when you're coming into a new space is the people. And again, the people, what gave me confidence is I'd interacted with a lot of them before, well, a few of them to be fair, before I came in, and some of the most knowledgeable, well-read, well-educated, because everybody on this side almost has a PhD. But of course a PhD. But PhD for me is neither here nor there if you're not living and breathing it. So some of the most highly intellectual and knowledgeable individuals are sitting on this side of the spectrum. And I learned so much from them back then, and I continue to learn. I continue to be humbled by them. And so for me, that gave me confidence, because I knew I was coming into a space where people know what they're doing. Essentially, at the bare minimum, they know what they're doing. And they're willing to do it. So everything else that gets in the way, and you know what plagues our systems and our governments, I don't need to repeat it to you. You know, why things sometimes are slow, why things get diverted, But it doesn't mean that the core or the essence of it is not there. So for me, that gave me confidence, because I said, you know what, there is a plan, there are people who know how to deliver that plan. Let's see how to bring those two things together. So that gave me confidence, and I've already confessed that I am an eternal optimist, a glass half full person. It's a blessing and a curse, because sometimes I don't see the bad side of things easily, although they're always being called out to me. But that gave me confidence to go on. And so coming into the space, I think my expectations had a little bit been managed, because I'd seen how the system operates, where the clear spaces are, the green spaces are, where the no-go areas are, the red flags. And what's really been helpful is I inherited a team of relatively young people, go-getters. So I think the goodwill is there, the energy is there, the knowledge is there. It's how to motivate, to inspire, to incentivize people. That's the work that I really had to do, you know, and that for me is the good side of things, you know. So the red tape, that's the ugly side, really, because it slows everything down. The amount of approvals you have to get through to get just one thing. So now I'm coming from private sector where at the stroke of a pen, you know, you're moving up to 1 billion shillings. And here to move like even
to move 2 million shillings, there has to be whole.
You're going to call everybody in the ecosystem. So
and maybe that's where maybe I would. I mean, and without coming off like you're trying to challenge the system and everything, but I believe there are some ideas that you have in your head that if you had your way, you would implement. Because, for example, if we say, for example, there is this crisis, we need maybe to send an ad to CNN like tomorrow, because and I mean, having been in the private sector, I know there's when you're about to launch a campaign and this happens, and within the next 24 hours. And I mean, I've seen, you know, in UBA where a brand manager could just say from the 3 agencies, you guys come and present, and in less than a week a decision is made, and you know LPOs are issued and everything. If you had, because in issues like some agencies and some functions in government need to be exempted to be able to do certain things.
Rapid response.
Rapid response. So what would be some of the things that in your area that you would recommend to be changed to allow you guys to move to market faster and bring in those numbers that we all badly want?
Well, we're in discussions right now, and primarily it's I think the thing that slows us down the most is, to your point, our speed with which we respond to trends. And marketing is all about trends and, you know, customer aspirations, and those change all the time. You know, what are people aspiring to right now? What are people responding to right now? You've seen even this year, I think there was that, what was his name? Show Speed.
Yeah, Show Speed, yeah.
And you know, the speed with which all the other African countries just jumped on board. That flexibility is definitely lacking where we are, but we're in conversations, and I'm optimistic. We have the ear of the ED of you know, the PPDA system framework, which is the procurement framework for all government agencies and ministries. And you know, interestingly, there are avenues or vehicles for us to negotiate. So a lot of times, I think we haven't entirely interrogated the system. So those conversations are live, and we've already been given a couple of avenues through which we can operate as a marketing agency, because the first thing I did, and as you can imagine, I put up my hand and I said, no, listen, the kind of procurements, the kind of partnerships, collaborations, MOUs I'm signing are way different than the ones they're doing in Ministry of Agriculture. Because I mean, those ones, maybe it's a slow burn, right? You know, you're not exactly, you don't have to respond immediately, because the price of coffee doesn't change rapidly like this, you know? The price of cotton or tea, or, you know, you have to wait an entire season for you to discuss any kind of response. And, you know, even with things like El Nino, you know, it's a slow burn, and those are the things that impact agriculture, for example. So do we need a fighting fund? Yes. Do we need a classified fund? Yes. Do we need to be able to respond at the same time as other destinations? Because we're competing in a commercial space. When you think about it, we're a brand like any other. It's brand Uganda against brand South Africa, against brand Rwanda, against brand other brands are also working, and those are the ones in Africa. Now think about brand Thailand, think about brand USA. So how do you respond in real time? So those are conversations we're having, and I mean, we've had breakthrough already, which is why you've seen us being as active as we've been this year, because they've presented to us a couple of opportunities that we didn't know, but through interrogating the framework and how best it can enable, because it's there to enable, not exactly to work against. You know, so I'm confident that there's opportunities for us. Yeah.
Okay, you reminded me of a joke that was online, and someone said, as a minister of agriculture, for example, why are you rushing and trying to push us off the road in jam? Because maize takes 3 months to grow, beans take like just about the same amount of time. So why are you rushing to just slow down? Maize will not refuse to grow.
Maize is still growing.
Still growing, of course. But and again, as we begin rowing towards the end, yeah, like you said, it's been learning from day one, right from the time you disobeyed your mother, from refusing, and interesting enough, my mother wanted me to be a priest. Oh. You can imagine.
Okay, you're worse than me.
You can imagine where the church would be now.
Oh dear.
Under my leadership. I also don't want to imagine about them. But anyway, yeah. So it's been they say life is a whole game of learning. You stop learning, I think, when you die. Although I want to stop running somewhere at some point, so I just be there chilling. So, what are some of the key lessons that you could say as a leader you picked up, over time that you hold very dear to you that you would love to share with our audience?
Okay, let's see. I think this one here, it's something that I'd already adopted in life, but this role as CEO has taught me a different level of humility. I've had to listen more than I've ever listened in my life. I'm already a very good listener.
You try.
No, I've not demonstrated that here today because I've talked a lot, but
who called you here to talk?
You called me here to talk. I think I've learned to listen more than I've ever had to, and listening not just to physical words being said, but to even the unspoken in a room. So that for me has been one area of growth, really. And I think by the time I leave this role, I'll definitely be better for it. I'll not be the same leader that I came in. The other thing is around challenging myself and reaching, I think, my tether's end is the English word for it. And I've had to keep telling myself, but you're the champion of this, because when I came into the role, and again, an ethos or an ideology that I had adopted was the one of breaking equilibrium. And I took this from Jeff Bezos. Bezos? Is that the right pronunciation?
One of those two.
Jeff Bezos, CEO of Amazon.
Yeah.
And when he was, the first time he left Amazon, in 2020, his letter to the shareholders, it included that ideology or that theory around equilibrium and what has made Amazon so great over the years. The fact that every day they live it as if it were day one. The same energy with the same, the same vibe. I've talked about vibe with the same tenacity as if it was your first day at the job, And the reason for that is that in his mind's eye, and he also drew inspiration from the book, The Blind Watchmaker. I think it is Richard Dawkins, something like that. Yeah. Richard Dawkins. And there's a passage that speaks about equilibrium being almost the equivalent of death. So that if you, as an individual, you reach equilibrium, you're as good as dead. As a company, if you reach equilibrium, you're as good as dead. If your surroundings manage to pull you into complacency, you're as good as dead. And when you think about it, even biologically, and at the core of it all, I'm a scientist. So for me, all things physics, science, biology, they still appeal to me much as I ended up on this end of the spectrum. And the way he described it was your body, or the human body of a living organism, is in a constant struggle to stay alive. Your cells are constantly fighting the environment, pulling against. So when it is too hot, when you think about it, when it is too hot, your body is fighting to cool you down. So you
Sweat.
start perspiring, sweating, all of that. When it is too cold, again, your bodies, your cells, they kick into action. The red blood cells are white blood, they're overworking so that they produce heat. So when you think about a living organism, you are constantly fighting to stay alive. Your body is working overtime. And so when you relate it to where we are also in life, or this organization that I'm working for now, the agency, the day we say, okay, I came here, this is how they do things. But this is how it's always been done, which is the way people, not just public sector, even private sector, it's easy. It's
to
that's an
maintain
easy
status
way.
quo, right?
Status quo is always comfortable because then you don't hurt anybody's feelings, you don't step on anybody's toes, you don't make enemies. Hey, you're just very good. But that is the equivalent of death. So if you don't challenge yourself every day to break the status quo, to break equilibrium, you're as good as dead. And so that's kind of the theory of leadership that I've been living on for the past couple of years, and that I've passed on to my team, and my team will tell you, I think they call me Miss Equilibrium because I'm always like, equilibrium. We need to break equilibrium, break the status quo. But it's
so you're basically causing kavuyo when you enter and you find people happy, settled, challenging.
Challenge the status quo. Challenge the status quo, because that is where growth comes from. That is where breakthrough
and I don't
comes
know why
from.
you asked us that question, because everybody was agreeing we had put up a kick-ass presentation and you're like, no way, this girl, I'm not going away with it. I need to first, And maybe I was about to forget this question. Every Ugandan, okay, not every, me, I don't understand why. There's a couple of Ugandans online who keep on saying that, to travel in Uganda is expensive. I would rather go to Dubai. What explains that, and what message do you have for them?
I think because our tourism industry, hand on heart, we're still in infancy. We only started really doing some serious work behind promoting, investing in tourism in the 1990s. So for now, obviously, the prices are driven by demand, right? Price is a factor of demand as well. If you have a rare commodity, it's going to be pricey.
Yeah.
So what I keep saying to people is that we all need to get on that boat of traveling, so that we cause
tsunami,
a phenomenon called economies of scale. Yes. Once we have economies of scale, the prices will come down. So right now we only have a handful of people traveling, for example, by air to Arua. No wonder it's so pricey. But imagine if we all made a decision. I must at least go and see, is it Ara Lodge there, the fishing lodge, within this next quarter, and the business or the momentum starts to build, we reach a critical mass, it'll drive the prices down. That said, we of course are having conversations with the private sector to see how we can incentivize, whether we just have some pricing which is seasonal, off-peak, we'll call it off-peak, when you don't have too many international arrivals. What bespoke pricing can we put in place to encourage our own to travel? And I think it's starting to bear fruit, because last year we recorded about 2 million domestic travelers. This year I'm confident that it'll go up. Our overall tourism arrivals have gone up by 19.7%, international ones. So there is a bit of momentum. There is, obviously we're coming off a low base, that's why we have that double digit. When we mature, it will probably even out. But it's to give you the confidence that we are about to reach that critical mass, which will unlock then friendlier prices and more reasonable, accessible tourism products.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I sent you the questions we discussed and everything, but I'm sure you also have some key messages you want to put across.
Yes.
And probably they were not captured in my questions. And what is it that you wouldn't want to leave here without telling your stakeholders?
I'll just, maybe a message to all is, first of all, some of the most prosperous or successful tourism destinations in the world rely on domestic tourism first. So the first job we have to do is to get Ugandans moving within Uganda. That is the first job. The second job we have to do is to carve out a niche for ourselves. And what I keep saying to people is that imagine a place in Africa that offers everything that Africa has to offer. Whether it's the wildlife, the landscape, the biodiversity, all in one location. And then on top of that, imagine a place that stimulates all 5 of your senses at once. The sense of sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. Imagine such a location. And then come explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
Yes, you had it, but I will not let you go until I ask this question. I had to save it for the last, and it touches across very many fields. I am, of course, I'm a marketing and comms person in my other life, and I've seen a lot of people, they say when it comes to marketing and communications, we are the first guys where people cut budgets. So I think as a country, across the board, we don't believe in marketing. I've also seen a number of business leaders who don't believe in marketing themselves. They believe in just know your thing and just hide there and stay knowing yourself. And even in the tourism sector, you've seen people, they sink up to $20 million in a facility. Ask them to put $500,000 in marketing, they will not. And for you as a person who comes from marketing, you've been at the helm of very many brands. Even yourself as a CEO or as a brand, I believe your team didn't struggle with trying to market you because you had already sold yourself, you were already sorted, so they just needed now. Actually, I think in one or another, UTB could have benefited from riding on your brand, which again is a good thing because the brand of an organization is a combination of the organization, the products, but also of its leadership. All in all, just to sum it up, talk to this world out there, the leaders, the key investors in the tourism sector, about why it is important to invest behind, growth of a brand. Yeah, because I know we are a material, I could say we are a material nation. We believe in things that we can touch and feel, but if we can't touch it, then it's hard to invest in it.
Yeah.
That's my last question. You do that for me, we'll be sorted.
I think it's what you've asked could also be answered by what I mentioned earlier in terms of the destinations that have done it ahead of us. And one of the things that we're trying to do at UTB is become externally focused. When you're a brand such as we are, Uganda, or any other product, as soon as you start looking at just yourself, how smart you are, how well you are, then you're going nowhere. You need to benchmark. You need to look outside. Externally focus. It's so important. Now, people have written the blueprint. And so if you don't believe it from Juliana, you don't believe it from other marketing people because you think they're just there to stretch their P&L and spend the big monies on board big soccer teams. Cruises. Yes, if you think it's about that, then please, I implore you just to do some research. Look at Barbados, look at Fiji, look at the Seychelles, look at Costa Rica, look at Ecuador. These are countries within the last 20 years, some even more recent than that, 15, 10 years, have essentially pivoted their GDP to rely entirely on tourism. They've done it. And they've done it through consistent marketing and brand equity building. There's nothing more powerful than equity. And equity, I'll tell you, even if you want to bring it into a personal space, there's a reason why people are in relationships. It's because somebody has shown their equity to you. So without marketing, everybody would be single. Let me put it that way. Yes, if you want to put it at the most rudimentary, basic level of life, there has to be marketing. You've got to pitch. You've got to have a product. You've got to distribute it. People have to see it. You've got to package it very well, and you've got to have it at the right price. I will not go into all the other P's which have since come into play. But they've done it. Thailand has done it. And within the shortest amount of time possible. Some of these destinations are bringing in 48 million people. That's the Thailand number.
That's huge.
Let me scare you.
Uganda.
Let me scare you in case you think marketing doesn't work.
No, at least not to me. Them, tell them.
Those guys.
Yeah.
The entire Africa, annually, on average, we bring about 81 million people. 81 million tourism arrivals. And I'm talking about with destinations like Egypt, the pyramids, Morocco, Ethiopia, the guys who are, you see they're pumping money left, right, and center. When we go for international expos, some of these countries, we don't even sit in the same area code because they're spending disproportionately, investing ahead. But all that is delivers about 81 million tourism arrivals. One location in Europe, France, brings how many? I think last year they clocked 100 million, 105 million.
Wow.
One location, France. Can you compare the size of France to Africa and the offering to Africa? Mostly, it's of course their history, their heritage. You've got the Eiffel Tower. People go there to fall in love, so they say, to do engagements. But I mean, how many people are those? But think about the wildlife, the landscape, the culture, the heritage, the provenance, the biodiversity on this continent. And we're only getting a portion.
Handful.
But what is the distinguishing factor? It's nothing else, it's marketing. It's marketing. Somebody has convinced you that the Eiffel Tower, and if you propose to your wife under the Eiffel Tower,
that marriage will last.
This marriage will go the full 9 yards. It will go the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Somebody has convinced you. Look at Spain. Spain, I think, is about, let's stand to be corrected, it's about 90 million.
Actually, I mean, I've seen some countries
90 million plus.
like Italy, even including Spain, that they're beginning to push back and saying, no, we're having too many visitors. Some of you guys should go back to your countries.
Over tourism. But where did that all come from? We
Marketing.
talked about the US of A when we started, marketing and packaging. Why is it the aspiration of so many people on planet Earth to visit America?
The land of opportunities.
The land of opportunities, the land of dreams. You know, Disney is there. That's also part of their product offering because it's to do with dreams. So they've built a brand that makes you imagine that when you get there, somehow, you know, your life will be unlocked. But it's marketing. It's marketing. So if it doesn't get out there, if your message doesn't get out there, so if we're saying we're one of the most unique locations on Earth, we're home to 50% plus of the last remaining mountain gorillas on planet Earth. We have 165 freshwater lakes. We are home of the source of the River Nile, the longest river in the world. We have over 1,000 species of birds. Why is it a secret?
Okay, and I mean, one of the things I must ask is that one person has insinuated that sometimes Uganda, we could be suffering from the from the paradox of plenty. Like we have so much and sometimes we fail to choose where to focus. But in your own view, what is that one area where you think we are under investing or under focusing on? And if you could, applying that 80-20 rule, like if we put in some 20% focus, we could actually unlock a lot of value in the sector.
For me, the writing is on the wall. It's our blue economy. The 165 freshwater lakes we have, starting with Lake Victoria, the largest freshwater tropical lake in the world, tropical. Number 3 by volume and size, whatever, but number 1 in terms of tropical, to mean the biodiversity. So we are long overdue, and we've started the work, obviously, but not fast enough. We're working very closely with Uganda Investment Authority and a couple of other, MDAs to see how we break down Lake Victoria into bankable projects. So feasibility studies have been done. A lot of talk has been going on around the blue economy, but actually putting, pen to paper in terms of, what's bankable on the shores, what's bankable on the water, what's bankable on the islands, I think we've not yet hacked that. So to your point, Cham, yeah, we do have a challenge because we have so much. But if I had to choose the lowest hanging fruit, the thing that I think that could easily unlock a new wave of tourist arrivals for us in Uganda, it's got to be the lakes and Lake Victoria first.
Okay, I think I agree with you because, like I said off the show, for me, up to now, if you ask me, my best destination, it still remains, I think, Lake Victoria, because it's one of those, of course it has the diversity of the different islands and all that, but one thing I like about it is the convenience, It's that ideal destination for even if you are like a working class family, where you can dash on Friday or on Saturday, then on Sunday you're back.
Dashing to Kalandala this weekend, just dashing.
Oh, do you need some?
Yes, are you free?
No, next time. Yeah, but honestly, yes, I hope the guys who are listening out there, I think we really have so much, and I believe we pay the right kind of attention, and we can get there 2040 because everything is doable. Wow, well, I think, it's you're asking questions I've asked before. And for me, the more you talk of that, reminds me of the parable of talents, where I think we could be this country that has everything, but we've chosen to keep it to ourselves. And but like you said, if you do not market, you remain single. So I can imagine even our numbers will keep growing single digit if we are not marketing.
If we're not marketing.
Yeah, so I think let's do a better job. Good enough, we have a new parliament, we have a new cabinet. What we need to do is, honestly, and when we talk about marketing, you have to talk about resource allocation because it's a damn expensive game. If you think about it, looking at some of the numbers that some of some of the organizations here like MTN and Airtel, who only have to market within our borders, they spend more money than what you guys have that have to market ourselves all over the world. So whoever is allocating resources, please, we cannot be playing the game as usual. But I think the opportunities are very many. What we need to be doing is so much, and we can't all exhaust them in this particular show. So I thank you for coming, and I'm looking forward to having you again. But please make it a habit to come on this show very often because there's a lot to talk about. And for those of you guys who are watching, thank you for watching. Do share these conversations with your different people. Of course, do follow us. And please, if you also know that there are some interesting, extraordinary leaders out there that you think you want to hear from, do reach out to us and let's keep the conversations flowing. Otherwise, I remain your very nice hosts. I have to blow my own trumpet. Muhereza Kyamutetera. See you on the next show.